Hi, I'm Nate, and it's Chipper. Philly professional sports teams have been around for over a century. These four major sports, from baseball with the Phillies, football with the Eagles, hockey with the Flyers, and last but not least, basketball with the 76ers. What more can one ask for other than wins and championships? Well, one of those is true.
Although there are many different ways to get to the playoffs, after a long season, the postseason begins. After the rankings are given out and the teams are scheduled to play each other, they will fight it out on the field to find two champions. After all the games of the series are over and the champions have been decided, they play for the championship. In football, this is called the Super Bowl. In baseball, it's the World Series. In hockey, it's the Stanley Cup Finals. And in basketball, it's called the NBA Finals.
The Philadelphia Phillies started out as the Philadelphia Athletics. Unfortunately, when a team has been around for a long time, there's a statistic that will slowly creep up on them. The Phillies were the first team to reach 10,000 losses in an average 162-game season. That hasn't stopped them from coming out of history with 4 World Series appearances and winning it 2 times. The Phillies play in Citizens Bank Park. This place in the middle of the summer can be confused for heaven. Being able to smell the warm grass is magical. This equates to an ongoing record of consecutive sellout games. Dating back to 1967, when the Flyers were introduced in Philadelphia to make the NHL have 12 teams in it, the Flyers have been the most consistent team in Philadelphia. For years, the Flyers, also known as the Broad Street Bullies, almost regularly make the playoffs, which makes fans feel like Philadelphia is a hockey city. The Flyers have been in the fight for what is arguably the most coveted achievement in sports, lifting the Stanley Cup. The Wells Fargo Center is where the Flyers play their games. The fans that fill this man-made icebox have to be some of the best in sports.
The Eagles have had many cold seasons starting in the 1930s, but they have been full of promise, but no reward. Sadly, the Eagles have been the only team in Philadelphia not to win a championship. They've actually only been to the Super Bowl twice. The Super Bowl is the #1 most watched sporting event in all of sports, and sadly the Eagles have had trouble even getting there. This leaves Philly fans saying, just wait till next year. The Eagles bring a new meaning to all promise, but no reward. The Eagles play in Lincoln Financial Field, right across the street from Citizens Bank Park and the Wells Fargo Center. Even in the dead of winter, close to 70,000 fans will gather in the stadium to fill this cold stadium. The Sixers are easily the most successful team in all of Philly. This team has the 3rd most wins in all of basketball, with 2,500 total. I like to say that the fan base is very strong with the Sixers, but it hasn't been of late, with low fan capacity over the last few years. The Eagles, although, have 3 championships, but unfortunately the most recent one was back in 2000, or they were in the finals back in 2002, but they still lost. The level of play, though, from the 50s and the 80s are coming back. The Sixers also play in the Wells Fargo Center, where, as you saw before, is an ice skating rink. But when the Sixers are home, it needs to be transformed into a hard court. And this is where another 20,000 fans can also fit in this building. The Philly fans have got to be one of the more colorful groups in all sports. Think about this. Toward the end of the summer, when the Phillies are in the playoffs and the season for the Eagles and the Flyers have started, close to 134,000 people can be all on one street in different stadiums. Some of the different events that fans have taken place in include being tased by police, throwing snowballs at Santa Claus at halftime, and even minor misdemeanors with fights and other stuff at Sixers and Flyers games. Unfortunately, this passion hasn't come over to very well with championships in Philly, with only 1 in the past decade. So let's just say you're not really a big sports fan. We find other things to do in our town, like shopping, which Caroline and Bridget will explain to you.